in the crease with Tommy C. Welcome back. Sorry I've been gone a little sick, little this, little that, little the other thing, and YouTube servers blow. I'm here with none other than the Dead on Dave and special guest Jacques Mollet. What's happening, buddy?
Doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing, Dead on Dave?
Doing pretty good. I'm glad you got over your case of vaginitis.
Yes.
It's important.
It was a scratchy, itchy version of vaginitis.
Gotta blow that clitty litter out every now and then.
Oh, you're the guy that first took off, and I caught it from you. So I don't want to
Yeah, well, hey, it's okay. When you turn away, no, I don't even know what I was going to say.
Yeah, okay.
Right.
Yeah, well, we're rusty. All right, I want to talk about...
I was like, that probably won't sound right. I'm going to go ahead and just avoid it. Fuck it.
And I want to talk about Mr. Patrick Kane. Look, if you've been listening to this, if you have been following the news in even a mildly unbiased manner, you would have known after the situation in late September, where it appears that the alleged victim of the accuser of Patrick Kane seemed to be trying to influence the actual investigation. As it turns out, the lawyer that presented that evidence said, I'm out of here. I don't know if this is all on the up and up. And since then, we've heard virtually nothing. By an uneducated observer, it looked like the very beginning that the alleged victim's mother was quite concerned about the way the investigation was heading. And on top of that, when these revelations were made about a fake rape kit or whatever the hell it was, we had both sides reveal that Patrick Kane's DNA was not in any place on that woman that would be considered, I don't know, a CSI type rapey thing.
Yeah.
That's really an intelligent thing to say.
You gotta love CSI. There's semen everywhere in CSI.
Yeah, that's the problem with CSI. Nobody watched CNI. Everybody you might think Patrick Kane was guilty. I think I'm going to fire questions at you. Let's give our new guest let's give our guest the first shot. Obviously, look, this was never going anywhere. There's something up. We're probably not going to find out. I would guess for the next 12 months, we're going to find out exactly what went on over here. They're not charging Patrick. There simply isn't any evidence to confirm the alleged victim's story, which of course brings in questions of gold digging and if this was a plan or what have you. How does I guess my question for you, Jack, is how do you think, if you are a diehard NHL fan, or all right, this is a better question, much better. How do you think the NHL handled this entire situation? As far as we heard about this on August 2nd up until yesterday when the report came out that more than likely, although it's unconfirmed, that he's not going to be charged.
Yeah, I thought the NHL handled this appropriately from the start. They, and I think a lot of people in the media, look, the NHL had to have some type of insider information. The Blackhawks had to have they were in communication with Kane and his lawyer, and they weren't going to put him out on the ice if they even thought for 1 second that he was going to be charged, taken to the grand jury.
That's a good point.
So I think the NHL and the Blackhawks were confident all along we'd get to this point.
This is a conversation that me and Dave had offline because Voynov, they threw him to the dogs immediately, which I actually in principle don't agree with, even though we found out that he was 100% guilty of this crap. Dave, I'm going to ask you the same question. How do you think the NHL and the Blackhawks handled the situation? Because that seems to be the major point of contention for people who still believed he raped this girl, despite the fact there's absolutely no evidence in that direction.
Both handled it absolutely beautifully. I mean, and when you look at the situation, you have to compare it to another situation that we've seen in recent months and in the past 12 months in particular. The NFL, who made a mockery of any logical sense when it comes to player handling of a situation like this. In contrast, look what the NHL did. They seem to have good contact with Kane, just like Jack was saying. It all made sense. They had confidence in Kane. The Blackhawks had confidence in Kane. Even the fucking Chicago Bears had confidence
that's a good point.
in Patrick Kane. They brought his ass out in front of a packed Soldier Field, and they won their first game because of it. So, it really is. It was a nice thing to see the NHL do it. And all they had to do was not fuck this up, because that's all the NFL did was mishandle Adrian Peterson, mishandle Ray Rice. They're mishandling Greg Hardy right now. And all the NHL did was had to not step on its own feet, and they did a wonderful job of it.
Jack, one of the things that concerns me in the NHLPA, or the last collective bargaining agreement, we do see a situation where it is almost entirely on the NHL to decide or not decide to punish the player. It's effectively in the collective bargaining agreement that anybody can be suspended with pay at any time, and the NHL itself has the right to exercise this power or not exercise. I personally have a problem with that, just based on principle. I really think at very least you should be charged. Do you feel comfortable the fact that the NHL has this type of power over their players? And really, should the NHLPA be pushed to say, hey, Lees, we got to come to a different situation? I don't think the NHL should have arbitrary power over a situation, because let's face it, they handled it right. It's only because they decided to believe Kane. I don't know if I like that. I think I'd rather leave the state or the federal government to make that decision whether he's guilty or not. I'm very uncomfortable by, even with the Voynov situation, if somebody just based on an accusation and not a charge can go.
Yeah,
go ahead.
That whole Voynov situation was totally different, though.
Yes,
There was, and it doesn't take a lot of probable cause to arrest someone. And in the Voynov situation, they were at the hospital. She was obviously physically assaulted.
Sure.
It wasn't a question of did he do it? Something happened. So there was enough probable cause to arrest it. But getting back to the original question, I don't know, man. That's you're probably asking the wrong guy. That's a fine line, because I understand the Blackhawks or the NHL wanting to protect their brand, protect their image, and all that stuff. So I don't know. It's probably a case by case thing.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Dave? You think that the NHL should have that kind of arbitrary power, or do you think it should be altered a little, or it's fine the way it is?
I think it's just like Jack said, it's very situational, but it's something that needs to be collectively bargained. It's something that obviously needs to be in the collective bargaining agreement, and it needs to be agreed upon by both parties. Because here's the reality. Any job that you have, especially if it's a high-paying type job, there are clauses. There's conduct policy clauses that can be put into there. If you don't adhere to them, or if you don't represent the company in the way that they see fit, they can axe your ass, or they can suspend your ass. The NHL is no different.
Well, you know what my concern is?
And I understand why having a problem with that, because it is an arbitrary power. It really is.
Yeah.
And it could be a very ambiguous power as well, because where's the line? It's who's ever looking at it can make a decision. Sure. What if he had a bug up his ass that day? But I think when it's situational and you're looking at the way the things are going, especially with Kane and Voynov, you use two things that are basically at the opposite ends of each other's spectrum. You see how they're handling it. If they just find the middle ground on most cases, I think we're all going to be pretty satisfied with it.
All right, but if they get it right, I mean, what if they read this entirely wrong? What if they didn't?
2 for 2 so far.
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't like the fact that they have to be batting. Pure, I was just going to put you on and I lost you, and I have no idea why you left. I can't just put you on in the middle of a conversation. I don't understand why you thought that I could do that. But when you call, guys, you're gonna have to wait till we finish the breath. It's much better showmanship if I did. Pure, you're on the air.
Now my Skype is not dead. Good.
Oh, okay. So
Kane wasn't suspended because he wasn't charged. Voynov was charged already. That's why he was suspended.
No, he was arrested. I mean, he was not charged until late December of last year. He was arrested, but not charged. They can detain you, bring you in for questioning, and what happens is he was eventually charged. And if you remember, they had about 60 days to charge him back, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was arrested in late October, and the charges were not actually filed until December. In fact, the LAPD ran up to the absolute minimum they could wait to charge him for this particular crime under California law. And I guess my point is, what is the measuring stick where the NHL should get involved? I mean, we're living in an era in the United States where college students, male college students, are simply being accused of something, giving a court process outside the realm of American law. I don't want this to spread to corporations or the NHL or what have you. My concern is I don't want, it has nothing to do with hockey players even. I'm concerned is what has happened on American college campuses will come eventually to a mainstream work environment. I think that's my biggest concern here. And
I think, to be fair, I think if Kane would have been arrested, he probably would have been sat too. The fact that he wasn't arrested, I think,
Yeah.
helped a big part of the cause.
Yeah, that's
if
true.
you're arrested and there's a fact-gathering situation where he's at least been arrested, I'm okay with sitting him. Obviously not firing his ass, but sitting him and letting the facts come out, putting him on an exempt list, whatever they got to do. I'm kind of okay with that.
I'm not.
Because if he's arrested, that circus that we saw, and there was quite a bit of circus thanks to assholes at Puck Daddy and other places.
Yes.
Imagine how worse it would have been had he actually been arrested.
But that's my
Holy
point. I'm afraid that,
God.
see, look, the Puck Daddy circus failed this time. How much longer till it succeeds? How much longer can they have influences? Because I tell you something, you mentioned the NFL.
Situational.
Roger Goodell reads the paper and makes his goddamn decisions. Thank God Gary Bettman does yet. And Gary Bettman's not going to always be in charge of the NHL. Pure, you have anything else for us as far as that's concerned? I mean, do you have a problem with the kind of arbitrary power the NHL has over players in this particular situation?
No, I think they did this pretty well.
You think they did this well? I'm not saying they didn't do it well. I'm not comfortable with having the power.
You don't like the potential.
No, I don't
catastrophe
like the
that it could
potential
be.
because I don't want to see what happened on American college campuses happen in. And I tell you something. I know it's a snowball effect argument, but don't tell me what's good enough for Kane, if had that happened to him, might be good enough for Joe Schmo who works behind a goddamn counter. Every time, well, your wife accused you of assault. Yeah, we're going to suspend you with or without pay. And you're not going to get as fucking good a deal as Patrick Kane would, considering he's a millionaire and Joe Schmo's not. You would have laughed at me 10 years ago if I would have told you that just a simple accusation alone, and you would be and you're a college student, you would go through a kangaroo court outside the realm of our justice system, and your academic career would be ruined. You would say that is a ridiculous assertion. Well, it is now currently a reality. And I really think that was the motivation behind Greg Wyshynski's Not My NHL. That was the motivation behind wanting to sit this guy even though he hadn't been charged, because I really believe these guys are authoritarians and they want you to sit based on an accusation. I mean, that's what I believe. Anything else, Pierre?
What was this Not My NHL bullshit
All right,
about?
yeah. Well, here's the thing, because you read too much Finnish. You got to get in the real. You got to start speaking Finnish 2.0. It's called English, all right? Not My NHL was a hashtag pretty much started by Puck Daddy talking about the NHL's lack of what was the word they used? It was kind of actually amusing. It was like one of those words where you
Had
like,
to be
get
something
with it.
progressive or something.
It was something something aggressive would use, like tone deafness. That was it. They said they were tone deafness because, by the way, and Greg Wyshynski used this wording in his last article, a healthy portion of Chicago Blackhawk fans were not comfortable by Kane suiting up. By the way, this was after the information came out that there was something shenanigans going on in the alleged victim's camp. Now, so it was basically a protest. It was basically a protest saying that he should have to sit until everything's sorted out, even though even by that point we knew we'd be at this point, and we're going to be at another point in when they drop the case completely, which is almost inevitable.
So because of an accusation.
All because of an accusation. And if you go to American college right now, especially a major American college, the same thing can happen to you, just like that.
Well, with the college, with the collegiate, with anything in academia, there's always been cases. Now, not with rape or anything, but other things. If a dean wants to get rid of students for pranking another house or whatever, we've seen it all, heard about the stories and everything. Things like that have happened in academia for years. Now this is a little bit more of a serious situation because we're talking about actual crimes and not pranks and shenanigans and things like that. And they should be handled with the law. It's just it's a very weird.
They're not handled with the law.
I know, but why isn't it?
I honestly think the Patrick Kane case was a test balloon. It's a test balloon to bring that type of justice to mainstream North America. And I that's why when people sit there and say to me, look, well, how could Greg Wyshynski be so stupid? He knows the report had no DNA. There's no DNA. All evidence points away from Patrick Kane, because it's not about Patrick Kane. It's about making and being comfortable with guilty before innocent, which is something in North America that we find repulsive. And
it's about people clicking on his blog too, though. He got a ton of media attention through all this, and
yes, he did.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that was it. I think I believe, they call this guy a hack and everything else. He's called a hack every day. I believe that it's agenda driven. I think this is the type of world that he's trying to influence, and he works for a major, one of the biggest internet media conglomerates in the entire planet. Yahoo News has hit more than Drudge Report. by a lot. And Drudge Reports has ridiculous views. So, I mean, we all know of cases. God, you ever read The Fountainhead, for Christ's sakes? You all know of cases where media tries to influence judicial, judicial situations. They try to influence our life and our culture and to make it fucking acceptable.
The whole point of the media is
for
to
guilty
influence court of public opinion.
Yeah,
you know?
and exactly, he was. And that's the thing. They'll sit there and be a part of the court of public opinion, and at the same, or complain about it, and yet be a part of the problem as well. Thanks a lot for the call, Pierre. I appreciate it. Take it easy, buddy. He probably got sick of me talking, but I do. I believe. I absolutely believe that. 718-395-7660. 718-395-7660. I knew this would be a long talk.
I want to give a little bit of love to Patrick Kane here, though, for standing fast on his laurels. He could have folded a little bit. He could have sat himself out. He could have even tried to dealt money-wise with this chick, but he didn't.
No, he didn't.
He was like, "We're gonna go, then we're gonna go," and it's just plain and simple. I know I didn't do anything wrong, and he stuck with it. We've seen other athletes, we've seen other high-profile celebrities fold under very similar situations, and he didn't. And I got to give him some credit for that.
Yeah,
not only that, he came out and he played. Now he's like, third, fourth leading scorer, whatever he is. He's Blackhawks leading scorer, team leader. Yeah, the guy, I mean, whatever. I know so many people had issues about him going and getting drunk once 4 years ago in Madison. The guy's, I don't know. He's in my opinion, he's
23 at the time, and where was he hanging out? A college campus with a bunch of pretty girls getting drunk.
He's a rich, good-looking young kid.
Yeah.
He's not supposed to act like a rich, good-looking young kid. Get the hell out
because
of
all these freaking reporters like short, balding Ryan Lampert and Greg Wyshynski, who got picked on in high school, they can't stand that this guy. I mean, I'm gonna be fucking straight honest. He can get pussy real fucking easy. And they like, wait a minute, I went to college and you know what? Patrick Kane has a unique talent and he produces more than you. Therefore, he makes more money. And it's just a simple case of they resent these guys because things went a little different for them. And I think that's what it comes down to. If you look at my interview with Ryan Lampert, now almost 3 years ago, holy shit. Now 3 years ago too, holy shit. When I asked him, I goes, I know you're in the Boston locker room. I know you've seen these guys. I said, is it a little difficult for you to watch them, make that kind of money, drive those type of cars, and walk out of that arena with those kind of women? Does that bother you? He doesn't ever say no. He just chokes and ridiculous. And it's just like, it's my lie detector. When people hear something, people don't get uncomfortable when they hear something that's not true. They get uncomfortable when they hear something that is true. And he actually never says no until I actually make. I mean, it's really amazing, and I really think that's what it's about. It's they can't connect with people. They don't have relationships like these guys because it becomes very easy to them. And rather than say, oh shit, I mean, I wish I was born with that kind of talent. They just get angry, and they
chance to get them.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's just jealousy. That's what I think.
Hey, I think that's part of it. But it's funny. They go and obviously these guys have enough skill to be noticed in a media format and get on these blogs and get thousands of hits and make a living for themselves doing what they do. It's just kind of sad when it's not enough and they have to kind of be resentful towards the very sport that they're so passionate about enough to write, blog, and all that stuff about.
I don't even know if they're
sad.
passionate about it. I think I'm getting, especially with this feminist movement inside of hockey, I don't even think they're in it. I think just they're into fucking poison it. I don't necessarily believe that anymore. Shout outs, Deb in Texas, Dr. D, Patrick Lynn in South Jersey, Chisel Tip. I got some new folks in here as well. I want to basically Kevin Acosta. Haven't seen him. Anybody? Hey, what's up going on, buddy? Little Listito in New York. Yerman Lee. What's up? What's up, Yerman? How's it happening, buddy? Let's see. Let's go Rangers. That's right, Kevin. Edison Vertigo. I don't say anything. New York is going to get a late start in the snow. Is it snowing over there around you? I don't know what they're talking about, but I haven't seen your name in there, and I appreciate you guys all being there. And of course, Terry in Winnipeg. I really appreciate you all being in the chat. All right. You guys anything else to say about it? Because we're actually almost up to our half an hour point. Anything else you guys want to bring up?
I was never a huge fan or critic either way of Puck Daddy as a whole. Yeah. But after this whole Patrick Kane situation, I would say it's irresponsible what they said. I know they're not like CNN News or something. Sure. It's just a blog. It's just their opinion. But it got to the point where I was like, come on, man. People can see right through this.
You're doing this on purpose. No one's this stupid. I was saying to Dave the other day.
Evidence.
Yeah, what I was saying to Dave, if you were a casual reader or Puck Daddy, you might think, Patrick, just if you flip through
Patrick Kane got away with rape.
Exactly.
Yeah. You know?
It's a bombshell announcement. Patrick Kane. No, if you were paying attention to this, and the fact that DNA wasn't found, you would think that Patrick Kane was under suspicion of rape, that absolutely fans were completely freaking outraged by the fact that he was able to play, and then somehow, someway, he got off. You know,
let's be honest too. It's a lot
that's
more
not
than...
deliberate. I mean, is that an Alex Jones conspiracy? You can see it. It's visible. You know. Go ahead, Dave. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Let's be honest. There's a lot more than just not any DNA evidence. I mean, there's no corroborating evidence at all.
Yeah.
Their star witness, her friend, got cold feet, or they lost confidence in her. This thing fell apart. It crumbled before their fucking eyes, and they would not humble themselves to back the fuck off. Instead, they doubled down.
Doubled down.
Saw the same thing with we saw the same thing with the Ice Girls thing. We saw it with the stripper bullshit.
Yeah.
We've seen it over and over out of Puck Daddy over the past 12 to 18 months in particular.
Yeah.
And it's getting a little worrisome at this point because
they're going to get
influence.
lucky eventually. They're going to get lucky eventually.
Exactly.
That's my concern. And you know what? That goes to my. If I didn't express myself, that is my concern with this arbitrary power the NHL has. You take Gary Bettman out of the equation. You take somebody that's maybe a little Goodell-ish, willing to give in. In other words, look, if I give in now, then won't have to deal with them later. No, man, that's not how these social justice cats work. You give them an inch, they keep pulling. They keep pulling. They're never
ever
going
because they're going to point to it. They're going to point to that precedent.
You did this. Why can't you do that? You did that. Why can't you do this?
Yep.
You know. I mean,
once that precedent is set.
Yeah, and it's. I think Greg Wyshynski knows that. He's just chipping away to the one day that he gets lucky, and it does. You know, it kind of makes you spook because that means that Greg Wyshynski gets up every day, goes to work, and doesn't give a fuck if someone gets charged with a crime or is convicted of a crime that may or may not deserve it. I mean, he doesn't care. Yeah. He doesn't give a shit. He doesn't get. In fact, I mean, he never actually took back. He's like, maybe this, not my NHL, and calling the NHL tone deaf with the information that I know now is maybe throwing. I don't want to be a part of the problem. I don't want to be a part of the irrational public court of public opinion or whatever the hell they call it.
Maybe it was too much. Maybe
this is right because maybe some man's freedom's on the line. That doesn't come. And he can easily just dismiss me and you. I mean, I don't know how many times I've been called a Blackhawks fan in the last 2 months. You know, a rape apologist, a Blackhawks fan, a Nazi. You know, all that good stuff. And it is really, it's really incredible that something like that doesn't concern him. I mean, I remember one guy was yelling at me. He's like, he's just a hockey player. Well, you know what? This isn't about Patrick Kane as much as it's about North American judicial culture. You know, that affects me. Whether Patrick Kane gets cut next week for the Chicago Blackhawks, that affects me none.
It's about changing a very serious narrative.
If my son decides to go to college in the States, that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's a problem. All right, I'm done with the Patrick Kane thing. Let me give you a couple headlines. Blackhawks demote struggling Brian Bickle to the AHL, making him the richest player in the AHL, and bring up Marco Dano, Blackhawks fan, dead on Dave. What do you think of that? Don't say that. We don't know. You're worse than Greg Wyshynski.
I'm just saying. What did I do? I had some boogers, man.
That's terrible.
What did I do?
You fucking hypocrite, you.
I did nothing.
All right, Ted, what do you think?
Look, it's sad because Bickle was once a very, very productive player and very important to those early championship teams with the Hawks. Whatever the issue is, whether it be a Mike Richards situation or it might be something else that we don't know, injuries, personal problems, I hope he gets straightened out because he's still relatively young and he was a hell of a good player. But hey, you're the most highest paid player in the AHL. Congratulations.
Maybe it'll be. Sometimes guys can get to be sent down to get sent back up. And look, you know, Brian Bickle is not tearing. You know, he's not going to be an all-star. He's not going to be. But he was a very effective role player for, I think, 2 Stanley Cups he was a part of, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, let's hope that he gets back on his feet. But you know what the problem is? Now every time somebody goes to the minors. Now, I called the L.A. thing because I had something wasn't right over there. And, it's Los Angeles. But I don't know if that's the situation. This does happen naturally sometimes. If you can make the argument that Scott Gomez should have been in the minors 7 years ago. You know, I think just the difference between Gomez and Bickle is, you know, Gomez has had some serious goal production at one point in his career, and everybody's hoping it's going to turn on. No, it's not.
Well, it's kind of funny. Last year there was all those stories about like the coke parties and stuff. Is there a cocaine culture going on in the Blackhawks locker room? There were all those when the Blackhawks were slumping around mid-season last year.
Oh yeah, I do.
We
know
started
that.
hearing those type of stories, and it just I don't know. It comes across at least your mind for a second.
Yeah, well, I
Because
mean,
Mike Richards came out of fucking nowhere.
yeah,
Let's
that's
face
true. That's
Yeah.
true. What do you think? Jack? There.
I think I don't know. I think the Blackhawks, and Dave can chime in here. I would be slightly worried. There's a lot of young talent on that team. Of course, they lost Duncan Keith. They lost some big name players that helped them get to the cup, and that Central Division is freaking nasty tough. So they got some big games coming up.
They do tonight, especially. We got the Kings tonight. The red hot Kings, the Kings that we were burying after like an 0-3 start. They're red hot. They're playing well. Should be a good game. The Hawks aren't playing necessarily badly, but they do need some of the younger players to move ahead a little quicker than we thought.
I think that's just simply. I mean, it's essentially a new hockey team, except with the core pieces still in place. There is. I really think that's getting along because I do think, and I've watched the Blackhawks. I think the guys that have replaced the Brendan Sods, they do not look like untalented hockey players. I just think it might be a gelling thing, and we could see a very strong Blackhawks team right around the time of the Winter Classic. I think that would be it. I know I'm going to screw this guy's name out. Andre Vasilevsky recalled from the Lightning after missing time for a blood clot. Shot from the point gives a very good luck, kid. And Carey Price is out with a lower body injury. He pulled his balls. He pulled his balls. That's what you used to say when somebody got a groin injury when I was a kid. Although when I was a kid, they called a groin injury a groin injury. Now everything's
Did they say grind or did they say groin like it's pronounced? Because
some guy got a puck to the head and they called it an upper body injury. He went off like no shit, you know. Got a puck to the head. What do you think? You know.
Luckily, the Canadiens score about 17 goals a game, so they're not really. They'll be okay.
That team has the most. Those two lines. They are the most. I don't know. What would you call it? Production. Obviously, they're just. I don't know. They're just.
They're precise.
There's even production on the Montreal Canadiens right now. Everything's just sort
balanced.
of coming. Balanced. That's the word I was looking for.
Jack. Swiss clock precision, man.
Yes.
It's ridiculous.
Cuckoo. Anything else, Jack? Before we get out of here.
Phil Kessel was a dud the other night. I was looking forward to him getting a hat trick, but nothing.
Nothing, man. What do you guys think now? And then now that you're bringing that up, what do you guys think of the rumors, so to speak, that sort of Glenn Healy elaborated on that Kessel is not clicking with Crosby?
I think it's pretty obvious from the games that I've watched.
Oh, I meant excuse me. That there may be actual personality problem there, not just maybe a hockey.
Again, not a shock.
I can see that. In the game the other night, the Penguins were playing the Maple Leafs, and Crosby on the bench had the whiteboard out and was drawing up plays and stuff. And I'm like, dude, that's what you have a coach for. And I don't know. I think that's his problem. No one's ever going to tell him no.
Yeah, he LeBron that thing, Jack. He is LeBron James. The coach is Sidney Crosby. He owns that team, and he knows it. That's the scariest thing.
Yeah,
he knows it because that management, that franchise that allowed it to fucking happen.
Yep.
And you know, it's funny because we've been joking on this show for pretty much like the last 15 months that Chris Crosby was the coach. And I'm going to, if I can find the damn thing right here, if I could find the clip that he's talking about, where he's just like in front of when he's in front of like a clipboard and yelling at, I can't tell, I can't tell who he's yelling at.
It was great.
And I'm gonna put the link in the chat right now, and I want you guys to check it out. And I want to ask you, I've been watching hockey 30 years, and I actually definitely want to ask Jack, have you ever seen a player go over a clipboard like that at the professional level? I mean, have you ever seen anything like that before? I've seen a lot of stuff in hockey, but I've never seen anything like that. And the captain of my team is considered one of the greatest leaders, not just in hockey, but in sports. I never saw him do anything like that before. What did you think of that? And have you seen it before, Jack? You're cut. We're losing you. Try to speak up again, bud. Oh, no. Can you hear? Yeah. Something weird happened. Dave, talk.
I'm here.
Oh, I think he's having a look. Try it again, Jack. Go ahead, one more time.
Oh, I saw I saw that video before.
Oh, you've seen that video before. Have you ever seen anything like that before? Like a hockey player?
No.
I've
never. And when I first started, years ago, really starting to pick on Sid. It was in the playoffs when the lockout shortened season. Damn,
shit.
Or something. And Sid
I hate to cut you off, Jack, but there's a connection issue just on your end. I apologize completely.
Yeah, you got robo voice going on.
We're gonna you know what we're gonna do? I never have that problem on this show. You know what we're gonna do? I'm pretty much gonna do the scores and wrap it up. I'm just gonna mention this stuff. I put the video in the thing. It's just bizarre. I've never seen anything like that. I've seen it in basketball before, where maybe the offense gets or the forwards get together and they kind of look over something real quick and move on. But I've never seen a player look at the clipboard. And considering that really Pittsburgh has never had a strong, I don't consider Dan Blasma a strong-willed coach. I don't. Has never really had a strong personality for a coach, and it almost feels like a player's coaching that team. I wonder if that's not direct evidence that Sidney Crosby has too much really to say as a player or even as a captain to the rest of the team. And it's just basically going to run through his way. And one of the reasons I believe that even more certainly is because Glenn Healy mentioned that Sid doesn't like what he sees in Phil Kessel, but more importantly, Mario doesn't like what he sees and may not like it. So that in a sense told me that Sid can run to the owner, a guy he lived with for almost the past decade, at any time and say, I don't like this. I don't even know what to call it.
Conflict.
Kessel better be careful or Sidney will trade him.
It's a conflict.
Sidney's going to trade him.
Yeah, but it's a conflict of interest that can affect the team negatively. And if you look at this talent of this team since 2007, one cup, I'm sorry. It almost reminds me of the 86 New York Mets. You know, I mean, there just should have been one World Series. They should have won at least 2, maybe 3 by now, or at least been in more Stanley Cup finals to begin with. They've been eliminated talent-wise for the last 2 years by a team that they have more talent than they can count by the New York Rangers. The New York Rangers don't even stand up except in goal, player for player, as far as the talent's concerned. They don't even stand up, but yet the Rangers are able to beat them time and time again. Maybe it's time to get I don't know. You can't fire the son of a bitch. I mean,
obviously not. It could be system. It could be, regardless of what it is. The production has been enough to allow that management has allowed Sidney to maintain the things that he's been doing. Yeah. And at least with LeBron, I've seen LeBron actually draw up plays and tell the offense what they're going to do. I've seen it. It happens about 10 times a year at least.
I can't believe that.
It's crazy, but it does happen. And they feel the same way about Sidney as Cleveland feels about LeBron. And whether that's warranted or not,
I don't think any player. To me, it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're Wayne Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky took orders from the coach. And I don't think he ever felt like he was in charge. He didn't like certain coaches. But, I mean, I think that's the problem. And I think that's why Sid will never win. That's why that team is so ridiculous. With the scoring depth and the firepower they have and the fact that they just seem to blow in the playoffs. It all depends on Sidney's mood.
You know who they need? They need Barry Trotz.
Yeah.
They need Barry Trotz. He'll straighten his ass out.
Yeah, that's a very good point because you can see that you can see very clearly that Ovechkin is a very, very different player under Barry Trotz. Last night in the National Hockey League, Brett Burns scores 2 times. Sharks beat the Avalanche 4-3. Callahan and Stamkos find the net late in the second. They beat the Hurricanes 4-3. Reinhardt's late goal. Why have I have trouble having Reinhardt and then late? Reinhardt's late. That's so bizarre. Reinhardt's late goal helps the Sabres overcome the Islanders by a score of 2-1, and Ducks find a way to win their second and a score of 4-2 over the Preds. A little bit of a shocker right there. Ducks maybe possibly could be getting it better tonight. Only 3 games in the National Hockey League. 3:30. 3:30. What the fuck is wrong with me? 7. I've never been good at this, Dave, have I?
No, because you're reading the German times. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I know. It's yeah, I know. I can't. I see 7:30. I think it's 1:30 at night for me, which it is. 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. The Dallas Stars take on the Toronto Maple Leafs in Toronto. 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Los Angeles Kings. Big matchup. I would say that's the game of the night, fellas. The most interesting game of the night. And late night game, Philadelphia Flyers. They're in Vancouver to take on the Knuckleheads. And keep an eye on Vancouver. They're not playing that bad. They're the first team to knock off Montreal. I believe that Vancouver's, they're quietly kind of putting a decent season together. So keep an eye on them going forward. And thank you, everybody. Like and share. Make sure you check out my friend Jack Lay. He's on the front page of Shot from the Point Hockey. And also check out Dead on Dave, where he does wrestling, sports, baseball, you name it. And I don't know, tortures his daughter too. Tortures his daughter.
Sometimes, yeah.
Sometimes, and that's
Live
kind of
tonight
amusing.
after Monday Night Raw. Come join me at Dead on Day Productions for live Monday Night Raw review.
Would appreciate. Make sure you like, sub, and share if you like the thing we're doing. We also upload videos and do stupid stuff and aggravate reporters, and we got a whole log of crap. Not all of it's good, I'll be completely honest with you, but that's the kind of humble guy I am. Join the Shot from the Point community. You know how you do that? You just say you're gonna do that, and that's it. There's no big deal. Real Talk the Metaphor Beside, the greatest rapper on earth. Check him out. Check all these guys out on my front page, and last but not least, get out of my crease.
Don't cry